Hey y'all, join me today as I show you how to make lasagna roll-ups. Y'all, these are amazing and it has just a unique twist to your typical lasagna. All right, let's get cooking. All right, so the meat I'm going to be using for the lasagna is ground turkey, and this ground turkey has been seasoned for beef lovers. So that sounds really good. The reason why I like to use turkey over ground beef is because turkey doesn't have the gristle that your ground beef has. So if you hate gristle, go for the turkey. So now that my turkey is in the pan, I'm gonna go ahead and just let it start to brown. And while it's starting to brown, I'm going to be adding salt to the water. Now I wanna make my water salty like the ocean because noodles love salt. And after I add the salt, I'm gonna bring the water to a boil. All right, so back to the turkey. I'm gonna use this meat masher to help break up the ground turkey because I like my turkey to be in tiny crumbles. I don't like big chunks of meat. So meat mashers work really well for crumbling up meat. So while the meat is still browning, I'm gonna chop up a half a cup of white onion. My turkey is done browning, so to the turkey, I'm going to add the half a cup of white onion. After adding in the onion, I'm going to add in a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, and then a half a tablespoon of minced garlic. Give everything a good stir and let your seasonings and onions cook for just a few minutes while you get your noodles into the boiling water. So for this dish, you're only gonna need 12 lasagna noodles, but I'm actually gonna cook 14 lasagna noodles because y'all know if you've cooked lasagna before, some noodles don't like to stay together. Some will rip, some might tear completely in half. So I'm gonna cook extra just to be on the safe side. Now it may look like my pot is not big enough for the noodles, but as the noodles begin to cook, they'll start to bend and then eventually they will be submerged under the water. So going back to the turkey, I'm now gonna add Rayo's marinara sauce. Feel free to use whatever marinara sauce that you prefer, but we really enjoy Rayo's because it has an authentic Italian taste. So now you're just gonna give everything a good stir, and then you're gonna turn the heat down to a low or a medium low and let your meat mixture simmer. And I'm just gonna let it simmer for the length of time that my noodles are boiling. I'm gonna make sure that I stir my noodles occasionally because they will stick to the bottom of the pot. And I actually did have one that did stick, so I'm glad that I had some extra noodles in there because y'all knew something was gonna happen. So now that my noodles are done, I'm going to drain them and then I'm gonna rinse them with cold water. And after I rinse them with cold water, I'm gonna fill this pot up with cold water and let the noodles sit in there because this will prevent the noodles from sticking together. After I fill the pot with water, I'm going to get ready to make the cheese mixture. So I'm gonna crack one egg and I'm gonna put it into a large bowl. And to the bowl, I'm going to add Italian style cheese. Now this cheese contains Parmesan, Fontina, mozzarella, and there's a couple other cheeses. I can't think of them off the top of my head. They'll be in the description box below. But you can use whatever cheese that you find suitable. If you want to use fresh cheese, you know, fresh cheese is always better than packaged cheese, but I'm going easy here. Now with this cheese, I'm going to measure out 1 3/4 cup and add it to the bowl. Now I'm going to add in 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. After the ricotta cheese has been added, I'm going to chop up 1/4 cup of parsley. I'm going to add the parsley to the bowl as well. Now I'm just going to give everything a really good stir. Now after stirring your cheese mixture, what you may want to do is get a little station set up to make the assembly of your lasagna roll-ups a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do now is take 1/2 cup of the meat mixture and I'm going to spread it on the bottom of a 9 by 13 dish. What this will do is it will prevent our noodles from sticking to the dish. Now I'm going to take 3 noodles out of the water and I'm going to lay them on a cutting mat. You can put them on a sheet pan. This is just to collect anything that falls out of our noodles as we're rolling them. So after I have my noodles laid out, I'm going to take 1/4 cup of the cheese mixture and I'm just going to plop it on each noodle. And then I'm going to take the cheese mixture and spread it with the back of a spoon. After the cheese mixture has been spread, I'm going to take a heaping tablespoon of the meat mixture, put it right in the center of each noodle, and then spread it out. At this point, I am ready to roll the lasagna noodles. So again, this is where things can get a little bit messy. So make sure that you have something underneath your lasagna noodles just to catch anything that falls out. And your fingers will get a little messy too, but you know what? That's cooking, y'all. Things usually get a little messy in the kitchen, right? So I'm going to roll these lasagna noodles as tightly as I can, and then I'm gonna place them seam side down in the baking dish. And because we're making 12, I'm going to do 4 rows of 3. I'm going to repeat this process 2 more times with the cheese mixture and the meat mixture, but since my daughter is not a huge fan of ricotta cheese, I'm going to make hers a little bit different. So I'm going to do 9 with the ricotta cheese and then 3 with just regular cheese. Now when it comes to making my daughter's lasagna roll-ups, I'm going to add the meat mixture first, and then I'm going to sprinkle the Italian cheese on top. I did start off by putting the cheese on the bottom, but because it's shredded, it's not going to stay in place when I try to spread the meat mixture. So meat mixture first, shredded cheese on top. Now I'm going to take the remaining cheese mixture and I'm going to spread it on top of the 9 roll-ups that already have the ricotta cheese in them. And for my daughter's roll-ups, I'm just gonna leave the ricotta cheese off the top. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the meat mixture, but this time I'm going to add it on top of all the noodles. On top of the meat mixture, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of the Italian cheese. My lasagna roll-ups are ready to go into the oven, so I'm going to cover the dish with tin foil. I'm going to try to be careful and not let the cheese touch the tin foil, but as you'll see, some cheese still got on there, but that's all right. So I'm going to bake this at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. All right, it's been 40 minutes. I'm going to carefully take the tin foil off of the lasagna. And so you can see I had a little bit of cheese stickage there. But when I pulled the tin foil off, I noticed that some of the cheese on top did not melt all the way. So I'm actually going to stick this back into the oven for an additional 5 minutes. Now, if you want the top to be crispy, if you want to have some crunchy pieces, then you might want to go for another 10 minutes. Well, all right, y'all, that's how you make lasagna roll-ups. I hope you give this recipe a try, and it's time for us to go eat.